Hey, what's going on, guys? Flick here, and welcome to the first episode of a brand new series that I'm going to be doing alongside the Liverpool Career Mode, and the name of this series is going to be Youth Squad Stars of York City. I think a lot of you are going to be familiar with the idea of this series because it uses the same concept as Cutzy Gaming's Youth Squad Legends, but if you're unfamiliar with Cutzy Gaming or the idea of this series, what it basically tries to do is build a full team of youth center players. That is to say, players that you've scouted through the youth academy or regen players. So aside from the players that you start off with in your career mode, you're not allowed to purchase any real players in game. Like I said earlier, I'm going to be uploading the series alongside the Liverpool career mode, likely once a week and more than likely on a Sunday. But if you guys do really enjoy this series and show that support through the likes and through the comments, I can potentially push to 2 episodes a week if you guys really do enjoy it. Before we get a little bit more into the technicals of the series, I do want to give a shout out to 3 other content creators on YouTube that I think you guys should definitely check out if you're interested with the concept of this series. The first one being Cutzy Gaming. He was the first person to publish this kind of series on YouTube, and he still creates YSL content, and he actually released a tutorial really recently on how to start your own Youth Academy series. So if you guys are interested in starting your own, I would recommend checking out Cutzy and watching that tutorial. The next person I'd like to mention is Bama Striker 9. He's released a number of tutorials related to scouting as well as the training of Youth Academy players. So if you guys are interested in that, go ahead and check out his channel. And the last person I recommend watching is Sparring DK. He has some of the funniest content because he rages pretty hard at FIFA, so if you're into that, go ahead and check out his channel. And now that I think about it, one other person I'd like to thank for helping me get this series going is B-, because he organized the podcast with the Youth Squad Legends crew, Cutzy, Sparring DK, and Bama, and they reminded me how much I do enjoy the sense of this YSL series and the sense of community that it may bring, and it's something that I really want to bring to this channel because every point that they mentioned is what I look for in a series on YouTube. So I figured, why not? Now's the time. Let's get it going. Now, a little bit more about this series and why I decided to do it with York City. And the main reason I chose York City is because I've been doing it on my channel since FIFA 13. And recently, I heard the news that York City is being relegated after this season, which means I will most likely not be able to do a York City career mode in FIFA 17. So I thought I'd make the best out of this opportunity and do one in FIFA 16. Obviously, York City proves to be a challenge because they don't have a lot of budget. So we're going to be starting off with a lot of 1-star scouts and gradually building our way up as we do manage to find some good Youth Academy players and eventually sell off our real players for cash. Now, I did mention the concept of a regen earlier, and I'll briefly explain what that is, but I don't want it to be a major emphasis for the series. I want most of my players to be coming from the Youth Academy. But what a regen is when a player retires in game, the game does create a new player, and he has a created face, kind of like a Youth Academy player, but he has the same nationality, plays in the same position, and he'll have the potential to receive the same rating as that player that retired. If you want a more detailed explanation of what a regen is, I'd recommend checking out my regen tutorial video that I released at the start of FIFA 16. I go in depth about what a regen is and how to find one. The final thing I want to mention about this series is that it will be recorded live with face cam because there are so many funny moments in this series. Some things as simple as player names that I want to capture and hopefully allow for you guys to enjoy as well. So in future episodes, they will be recorded live, but because this episode required 2 seasons of simulating, I'm just going to sum it up real quick and show you guys the team as things stand, and then in future episodes, we'll be starting in Season 3 of this career mode and be going forward with our Youth Academy. Here you can see the settings that we'll be using for this save, and I decided to go on World Class because I feel like it fits this style of series much better than Legendary, so that's what we're going to be going with. And the manager, of course, is a former Youth Squad legend. It's going to be Michael McCarty, the American player. He was a striker, and hopefully he can be the perfect fit for this York City team. We get into the preseason tournament and, of course, choose the one with the most potential prize money. And we did get a little bit of money back from that tournament, but you can see the league objective for us is not very high up. We just can't finish in the bottom end of the league, and that was going to be a task that I thought we could do even by simulating. And we actually used the Scout a Future Star catalog item, and we will be checking up on that a little bit later as we check out some of our scouts now. 3 1-star scouts. And that way we have the most amount of money to do the actual scouting later on this season. And of course, while we're doing the scouting, we're going to be doing some training for some of our promising players who we will eventually sell off once they reach their highest rating. But on to the actual scouting. The first player that we managed to pick up was our Scouted Future star player, imported directly into our youth academy, Francesco D'Italio. He's a left mid, 56 overall, and 78 to 94 potential is what he starts out at. Our first scouted player that we came across was Guillaume Isimat-Mirin, and he was a French player, 73 to 94 potential, 47 to 63 overall. Nacho Camacho was our next player, and that name just rolls off the tongue. He's a candidate for best name of the series already in the first season, but he had 66 to 90 potential. Lansari Sadame would be our first player added from an African nation. The player from the Ivory Coast had 69 to 93 potential. Our final player that we found during Season 1 was also from Colombia, Tito Cifuentes, 71 to 94 potential. After all the simulating during the first season, we actually did a little bit better than the board objective, so the board was actually quite happy with us, and we were ready to get into Season 2 of the simulating. So on we went to the second season, and it was business as usual. The board wanted us to finish mid-table this year, so we had to step our game up from the previous season. And as we typically do, we enter the preseason tournament with the most potential prize money, and with that money, we upgraded one of our scouts to a 3-star scout, which will increase our chances of bringing in fresh youth talent. Speaking of youth talent, we brought in a load of players this season, the first of which being Cole Harvey, our first American into the team, and that's good, especially since our manager is American, so we got to represent there. He had 71 to 94 potential. Our next player came from Sweden, Joel Gustafsson, 69 to 93 potential on him. Of course, every team needs a goalkeeper, so we sent our scout over to Germany to find the next Manuel Neuer, and this guy might be just that. Tim Klinger, 73 to 94 potential, and once we brought him into the team, we started training him up. Alongside Thompson and McAvoy, we trained Klinger as much as possible, and that's something that I would highly recommend you guys do. There is no downside to using those two trainings on your goalkeeper, so please do so. Sergio Branco will look to spice things up from the left wing. He had 66 to 90 potential. And sticking with the Brazilian theme, Adriano Guerra had 68 to 92 potential, looks to be a forward. We'll be staying in South America with Valerio Segura from Uruguay, 71 to 94 potential on him. Javier Fernandez was one of our first players who had a set position. He's a left back, 72 to 92 potential. And our final youth scouting player that we found was Victor Soriano, 67 to 91 potential. Simulating in the second season was just as much of a success as it was in the first season, if not more. We managed to get into the playoffs in the N-Power League 2, and we actually managed to win those playoffs, which means we secured promotion to League 1 next year. With 2 seasons of simulating done, that leads us to where we are right now, to the point where we can play matches with some of our youth academy players, some of which we've already promoted into the first team, some of which are still sitting in our youth academy. Since players do grow quite a bit while they're in the youth academy and their potential does change, I thought I would showcase that for you guys so we can have a complete understanding of this team. For the players that I've already promoted into our first team, I'll showcase what they looked like in the youth academy just before I promoted them. Starting things off with our goalkeeper, we have trained Klinger quite a bit. He's now a 66 rated player at 18 years old. When we promoted him when he was 17, he was 50 overall with the potential of 73 to 87. Isimat-Mirin was the first player that we found through the youth scouting. He's now a 58 center back at 18 years old. When we promoted him into the first team, he was a 54 overall center back with 77 to 83 potential. Cole Harvey is our only American player in this side. He's a 55 overall center back, 17 years old. When we promoted him, he was a 53 overall center back, 76 to 82 potential. Joel Gustafsson is one of our lower overall players in the team, only 45 overall at 17 years old. When we promoted him, he was a 43 overall center mid, 74 to 82 potential. On to our Scouted Future star, D'Italio has grown quite nicely. He's now up to a 66 rated left mid, 17 years old. When we promoted him at the age of 17, he was 64 overall, 87 to 93 potential. Exciting stuff. On to one of my favorite players in the side, it's going to be Nacho Camacho. He's a 52 rated center mid, 18 years old. When we promoted him at 17 years old, he was 47 overall, 72 to 86 potential. For our final player in the first team, we've got Sadami. He's a 51 rated center forward, 18 years old. When we promoted him at 17, he was 50 overall, 78 to 84 potential. Now for the Youth Academy, we've got a couple players waiting in here, and I'm basically just waiting for them to let me know that they want to be in the first team. That way we can get the most amount of growth here in the Youth Academy. Some of them aren't even eligible to be promoted, one of which is Adriano Guerra, 50 overall, 74 to 88 potential. Next up is Javier Fernandez, the man from Uruguay, 45 overall, 71 to 87 potential. Sergio Branco is a 54 overall, 75 to 83 potential winger. Tito Cifuentes, 53 overall and 77 to 83 potential for the man from Colombia. Valerio Segura, another player from Uruguay, 45 overall and 71 to 87 potential. And finally, we've got Victor Soriano, 41 overall and 67 to 89 potential. Now, I'll be using your guys' suggestions and comments to let me know which one of these players, if any, you think you should be promoted into the first team. If you think any of these guys will make the cut, let me know down in the comment section below. With the start of the new season, we also have some regen players that are sitting in the free agents. And I mentioned at the start of the episode, I don't want this to be a major part of this series. I want to rely on the youth scouting. However, I think adding one free agent a season would be an adequate rule. Let me know what you guys think of that and which one of these free agents you think we should add into our team. Most of them are defenders, but there's that one center mid, Isaac Laura Ramos. Let me know which one you guys want me to add. We've got 3 scouts that are ready to go out and search for some new talent in new countries, and I'll likely be upgrading the 1-star 1-star ones to 3-star 3-star scouts, but I'll be using your guys' suggestions down in the comment section below. So let me know what countries you guys want me to scout and what type of player you want me to look for. And that's it, guys. Season 3 of Youth Squad Stars with York City will be underway in the next episode. We'll be getting into some gameplay footage, hopefully finding some new talent, and I hope you guys are excited for this new series. If you are, make sure you drop a like down below, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. But until that next episode, this has been Flick. I'll be talking to you guys again soon.